Hi, welcome to another episode of Dungeons and Degrees. My name's Adrian,
And I'm Alex.
and today we have a special guest, one of my players. Go ahead and
Yay.
introduce yourself.
Well, hello. My name's Dave. Should I introduce my character too? That feels like a thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
I play a blade-singing wizard named Arlen Kelfine.
Wonderful,
That's all.
wonderful. Yes, and he plays in my Curse of Strahd campaign that I have been running for almost 7 months now.
Wow. Yeah,
And I think this is the furthest I've ever gotten with anybody, so
that's a long time.
I know. If we do another year, it'll be my longest relationship.
Yeah, I was just going to say, pretty soon we'll start naming children after each other and stuff.
And then you gotta propose and then meet the
Yeah.
family.
Right.
Mhm.
We show up on, the Super Bowl commercial. We've been playing D&D for this long.
I love it. All right, we're going to talk about, I guess, because Dave, you're the only one here. Everybody else was
Yeah,
like, hey,
yeah.
how did you find a game, and how is it that difficult? Because I've never had to kind of research how to find a game. I've just been in this position. I've signed up for one game in Roll20, never heard back, and I'm like, okay, whatever. And then I decided, you know what? Forget it. I'll be the DM.
Oh, yeah, sure. Do you want just my Roll20 experience or my getting into?
Either.
Let's get into D&D.
Yeah.
And then we'll do Roll20.
Well, good. 3 years ago, I read Ready Player One, and that book alone inspired me to play Dungeons and Dragons. And so I started.
Did you get the loot crate?
No,
Oh, okay.
no, I haven't done any loot crating, and I feel like that's a thing I would do, but I have an addictive personality, and I think it's a good thing I've stayed away from it.
Yeah, don't do it. They're bad. See?
Yeah,
Just ignore 'em. Fine. Okay.
So after I read Ready Player One, I started walking around to my I know you're a nerd friends and people in my life, and I was like, hey, we should play Dungeons and Dragons. And I feel like everybody at least had some sort of idea of what Dungeons and Dragons was that I approached,
Yeah.
But everyone I talked to had never played before, so I ended up being a dungeon master for my first time ever experiencing Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, that was like a home game, so that's my little background for Dungeons and Dragons. Ooh, you want to know the real background though?
Sure, we're here for the
All
nitty gritty.
Okay, middle school.
Ooh.
My librarian tells me to pick up a little book called The Hobbit.
Yes.
That's really where it all started.
I think
I don't remember.
Librarian.
And I don't remember her name. I don't remember what she looks like, but she will always have a special place in my life.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think I had a similar intro because I didn't have the book. I just had the VHS of this really weird animated Hobbit film.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, such elves were so gangly and ugly in that video.
Oh my god, we
weird.
do not talk about the cursed Hobbit.
Okay, I want to say my trivia might be wrong.
That one gave me nightmares. I remember
The animated one? Oh yeah.
It's the worst. I just remember I don't know, I haven't tried to watch it as an adult, right? So the last time I tried, I had to be 7 or 8 years old. And I just remember being in Gollum's cave and just being like, what is happening here? And then just having nightmares of being trapped in caves with creepy little creatures, and I was just not having a good time, which is really funny because I ended up absolutely loving the trilogy when it came out when I was in middle school, obsessed.
Yeah.
So it had a revolution. I haven't tried. I want to. Maybe that's what we should do. Maybe we should do a play-by-play of my rewatching of the Cursed Hobbit cartoons.
I know, we need more backup content in case something like this week happened.
Animated Hobbit play.
Oh my god.
I don't know if this trivia is true. So that's the best kind of trivia, really. but I believe the actor who plays Bilbo in the real, what do you call them, live action movies?
Yeah.
Voice Bilbo in that animated.
I'll,
And if that's not true,
Yeah.
there is some sort of
Martin
connection.
Freeman's not that old.
There's some sort of
No.
voiced
That's
Frodo
not Bilbo
or something.
though. He's talking
There's
about
something like that.
Yeah, he's talking about the original trilogy Bilbo, not Martin Freeman, which is the new Hobbit Bilbo.
Right. Yes.
Alex, you're getting. There's multiple Bilbos in this
true.
timeline we live in.
That's true. There are multiple Bilbos. Yeah, the older one. I don't know his name. Also, that could be completely false.
I'll just cut out a blurb here and like, Dave is 1 for 1 on his trivia.
Right.
Just after post and everything.
Yeah, that might be my only trivia though. So it might just be a 0 for 1.
They'll they'll be like, that was it, but they have to get to the end first, and that's where you get them. Unfortunately, Dave was wrong, and for that we have to penalize you with an ad.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Oh no, he was hit and killed in a car by a car.
Wait,
The actor?
Yes.
Oh boy.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'll continue popping. His name is Orson Bean.
But yeah, and so what about
Roll 20?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So as I was dungeon mastering my home game, I went to a comic book store a couple times to try to, as a player, to scratch that itch, but also I was basically just studying the dungeon master and trying to learn because I was totally going, like, picking up as I go.
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier, I have a very addictive personality, so I just started consuming all things Dungeons and Dragons. I watched a million hours of Critical Role and read articles and all this stuff. And when I was in that zone, I'm just like, I couldn't possibly have more Dungeons and Dragons. So I think I actually ended up playing in a one-shot through Roll20, which turned into like a two-shot, a little bit of false advertising.
Yeah, it depends.
And that was easy. Like, I don't remember having a difficult time getting into that game. But then fast forward to 7 months ago, I had like made a deal with the missus. Hey, what's a good night of the week I could play Dungeons and Dragons online? Well, we settled on it, and I went looking for games, and it was actually like super competitive and not easy to find a game. And I had previously gone through Curse of Strahd. So I was actively avoiding Curse of Strahd games on Roll20.
Oh.
And I was applying to pretty much anything else that fit my date and time range that I could play. And either just didn't hear anything back or had people like asking me questions, and I'm all like, oh yeah, I'm a teacher, I'm normally a dungeon master, so I'm just looking to experience the game through a PC and all this stuff, and just nothing. So I got frustrated. I mean, I want to say that was like two or 3 weeks of just waiting on these, like, I don't know, what should we call them, applications?
Yeah, mine was like an application, essentially.
Yours was. Yes, yours was. Yours was like a 3-part interview.
Yes.
So I open up to Curse of Strahd. I'm like, you know what? Because it was pretty popular on Roll20, the Curse of Strahd modules, and reasonably so. It's so good.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, well, I'll just deal with it. I am capable of not like metagaming, even though I have very little experience as a player character. And I find your game, Adrian, and you're like, I think fill out this survey, kind of a thing. So, and it was like involved, there was several questions to answer and on all that. I filled that out, and then you had a part 2.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, and I can't remember if it was just additional questions, or I think it had to do with like team chemistry, or like, what would your role be within a group of adventurers and stuff, I want to say. And so I filled that out, and I want to say I still wasn't part of your original selections. I think you reached out to me and was like, we've had some people drop, do you still want to play this game? I think.
Yes. No, it was like, because of the amount, like near the end of it, after the first like 2 games we had, I had 60 people. Or no, I had more than 60 people. I think it was, and I had filled out all their information on a Google Sheet and everything that they told me. And I was like, all right, as soon as we got a set time, I had to like, all right, you're out, you're out, you're out. And then because we had no, oh that was after. Anyways, my original people that I kind of like, I did only 10, and nobody said anything, or I found another game. I'm like, okay, fuck. And then I did 10 more because I didn't want to say no to anybody. And then finally, like, fuck, okay, fine. And then I just kept, I'm like, I'm going to do 20 now. So I did 40 in all. I sent 40 invites out. And people would either get stuck on that second stage and never responded to me, or like, so I had to keep like billowing through the applications I had. Like, and it was just tough. But eventually I got you in. I think you were part of the original because you, Pink,
yeah,
Akira, who doesn't play with us after like 3 games, and then
Victor.
Yeah.
Are we missing
Not?
one?
Did I already say Not?
Not was OG. Yeah, Not was OG.
Yeah, I think those were. I feel like there was. Yeah, that had to
Yeah.
be it.
Yeah. So I was there for the very, very beginning, but I got the vibe, like I wasn't your first choice.
Right. My first choice were like, I want a good split between older, like veteran players and newer players, kind of thing. Because I wanted to be able to like, have someone kind of be able to like teach them, or either be able to like kind of like and get someone like, oh wow, I want to do this, like invigorated. Because also this is like the first like online DM thing I've done. Everything else has been in person with friends. So I went through all that. Once we got Semi in,
I knew that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm impressed. I'm be impressed.
Appreciate it. And then we got Semi in
pretty early.
Yeah,
because early.
Yeah. Oh, that's why we didn't have a 6, because someone had just dropped out. So Akira brought Semi in, and then Akira dropped out. And then after that, I was like,
shenanigans.
I was trying to get another girl in, so it wasn't just one girl and a bunch of guys, but all their names were just so like, one was like Nat D, but apparently his full name was Natural something or other. I'm like, oh fuck, I just want someone to connect with Semi. So like, I was looking at images with like that could just be a girl icon. I can't tell, and the names themselves were just kind of very like misleading. It was tough.
Yeah.
But that was like this like midway through the game I found. But yeah, that y'all were like my first ever time doing it. And to be honest, I hadn't fully finished reading Curse of Strahd. I finished the very beginning and the very end, and I'm like, I'm gonna just throw my hat in. Why not?
I love it. And can I say, I think it's brilliant to put like applicants through all those steps, because here we are playing 7 months later, and there is still this core group together. And I think you weed out the flakes when you make them jump through multiple hoops to get in a game.
Exactly. That was kind of intention, because like anyone can say yes, but can anyone say yes and this and this, and then also have to answer another question? Because if you can't commit to these lines on papers, how can you commit to a dedicated time every week and keep coming back?
Yeah, every week. That's a good little commitment.
Exactly. But yeah, no, y'all my first online DMing group. Everybody else was in person, so this is my first time.
Well, I don't think I knew that. That's impressive, because it's gone really well.
Yes, including all my shrimp drawings, which I've been actually getting maps now.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about those. I knew at some point we were gonna try to like roast you in some way, or like find your embarrassing moments in our game, and I was like, I don't know, like Adrian's done a really good job.
But yeah, I think Alex can easily kind of like try to figure something I'm bad at out. You can like ask, hey Dave, is Adrian just a really bad RP? Or hey Dave, he doesn't do voices. Isn't that funny? That's not a question. That's just a straight statement.
I don't know. I was brainstorming on stuff I could embarrass you with, but there's not a ton. You do a good job.
Boo.
The shrimp drawings.
Yes.
The shrimp drawings are really good. Have you talked about your shrimp drawings on this show yet?
Alex, have we?
I don't think we have. I think you and I have talked about them, but I don't think it's been recorded since we've talked about it.
Gotcha.
It's just roll 20 goodness, where Adrian was trying to hand draw his maps when there's a million Curse of Strahd resources floating around the internet.
This is
And
before,
what was the shrimp? Was it supposed to be stairs?
It was
or...
It was like curling staircases that
Yeah,
just like one was like a fat end and the other was a little small end. But yeah, this is way
That was
before.
pretty good. So all of a sudden we have freehand, like what we all pretty much thought were shrimp all over our map. Eventually, one of our kind of veteran players, I think, reached out to you and was like, "Hey, here's like a bunch of maps."
Yes, that was Victor. He had some maps.
Yeah.
And then shortly after, I got into the Reddit, and they're like, "Hey, have you read Mandy Mod?" And I'm like, "I'm afraid to read more. I haven't finished the book."
Oh, There's so much good stuff.
Oh yeah. And recently, I've been like dropping in, like, "Hey, help me out." And I'm like, "All right, here's my info," and I'm like, "I finally finished the book." Dropping some knowledge and like, "Oh,
yeah.
thanks."
So now you're contributing.
Yes, I'm giving back.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah, exactly.
You do voices. Did you just say you don't do voices a minute ago?
I don't think I do voices that like, I don't know. Do I do voices?
You do voices. I mean, like, we just played last night. Well, I don't know when this airs or whatever, but we just played last night.
Yeah, you can say last night. I'll be fine.
And you did not have a different voice for two of the characters that were in the same scene. Who was it? Octavio and Elias.
Elias, yeah.
But I think when I say Elias, that doesn't mean anything to anybody.
No,
right?
these are just
that's
homebrew
an Adrian
stuff.
Creation, right? Yeah. So that was kind of funny when you had two characters in the same like conversation and their voices sounded the same.
Yeah,
but
I think I actually like.
So there you go, Alex.
I think I accidentally just like skipped like, and like mentally I'm in somebody else's like mindset, and I'm like, oh fuck, I didn't change my voice or say, and this is what this guy said. And I'm just like, because Dave had to like, wait, who's talking now?
Yeah. Quick clarification here. Who's speaking at this moment?
Yeah.
But no, you do voices. Now, also having experience as a dungeon master, the ability to snap in and out of voices, or even remember what voice a character has, is something that just kind of blows my mind. Like I don't have that gift, and I don't remember noticing any what would you call them, inconsistencies in your accents, but it's hard. It's so hard.
It really is. Like, I remember I tried to do, like, okay, I do a voice for Danica, now that I think about it. That one I actually now naturally just go into that voice when we think of Danica, but other than that, like, I think I tried to, in the past, just do, like, all these voices from different sides of the map in one scene, and I'm just like, oh, what's the difference between British and Irish? I know it's big, but I can't think of it like in the moment. I'm just like, Jameson. I don't know.
But I mean, at the very least, you are often like deepening your voice for characters, or having the lighter voice, especially for like the female roles. It's not like you're jumping in and out of Scottish and this and that, but like you're able to differentiate your characters.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I to be honest, up until you said that, I just thought I just didn't do any voices.
No, I don't think anybody would in our game would say that.
I appreciate that. It makes me a little joy in my heart.
And you know what? I just thought of?
Yeah.
Doing this game online and not with video.
Mm-hmm.
There's more emphasis on the voice, because you could portray a character just by like raising an eyebrow, right? Or like holding your hands a certain way in front of the camera, or if you're in a home game. And you can't even do those things. So it's harder, but more important.
Yeah, exactly.
The different voices.
Everyone's senses have just elevated. They're trying to figure out who is this? Who's in front of us? I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I really makes me a little more confident in what I'm doing, and I appreciate that. Usually, I after a session, I'm like, okay, what the hell did I just do wrong? Okay, or like, or I'm stressed out. And I'm trying my best to like add more things slowly but surely as my DM skills kind of grow, and I'm DMing for more and more games, and they like they'll start and they fall. And I'm like, okay, start revive something else, and I try my best, but it's tough. I'm starting to get back into the pitch of things outside of DMing because now I'm not jobless anymore, so now I have
Right.
responsibilities.
Yeah.
But it's
No,
nice.
I know. I envy a lot of people in our group. Sounds like they're in multiple games, and
Yeah.
it sounds fun. But I'm like, I got one night agreed upon with the missus,
Mm-hmm.
and so this is it. Why do you think? Why else do you think I'm living on our games chat?
To be honest,
That's my only game.
Oh, I'm your only game. I'm sorry.
That's my only game.
I feel unfaithful to you now. I have multiple games.
Right.
Yeah, I think right now, like you and me are the oldest now that Victor's
Mm-hmm.
gone. And
Yeah, I
with,
think Knots might be close though.
I can look this up.
Really?
Yeah, I asked what's it called the questionnaire.
Oh, yeah. I think
Age was in there.
So, do you think, is there a big difference in like the younger, like, can you tell, since you guys are online, there's not a face to face of like, I see these people in front of me and I know that you are younger. Is there a big difference in like the ages that you play? Do you notice that like maybe older players have a tendency to be really involved because that may be their only game, or that may be their only release in life? Or is there anything that you guys are noticing between, I guess, the ages of players?
I think so. Do you think so, Adrian?
Let's see. Like you said, how they just feel like they're doing. If they're gonna do this, they're gonna do this for real. The younger ones are just like, I guess maybe I feel like those are the ones that kind of dropped out from me, from these kind of games that I kind of asked for, and I just yep, I found it. Oh, he's in our age range.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought so.
Sorry, but it seems that life is easy for them to kind of like bend and sway. For anyone who has more responsibilities, especially if you have a partner or a significant other in any capacity that they have, oh, well, I have to worry about that. And from what I can tell, like a lot of the people are just like, yeah, whenever's fine, I have no life kind of thing. They have a very laissez-faire, and like we have it more like, this is serious, we gotta play this now, all right? There's no fucking about. But there's much fucking about in Curse of Strahd. Even though it's supposed to be dark, I think I play it very light for the most part.
Yeah, I don't know if I see much of a difference in terms of like I don't want to say engagement, like not engagement, but dedication to the game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I see much in there. I do remember when I wasn't the oldest dude in the group, I feel like there was kind of like some technology gaps going on with Victor. Hey Victor, if you're listening.
Hey, thanks for listening.
Like I remember him saying, where's like the communication at? Like I don't even know when we have a game scheduled or canceled or whatever. And I was like, well, like we have this thing called Discord, and we're on there like pretty frequently.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember that, and I think that may have been an age thing.
Because like he wanted me to post. I was supposed to post it like both on the site
in Roll20,
and I'd forgotten another day. And I think roughly around that time is when he like stopped, and that's when I stopped like saying, okay, this is when we play the game. And I messaged on Roll20 like, hey, I'm not gonna play. And then he was like, did I miss a game? And I'm like, oh no, I guess I forgot. I'm sorry.
No, it was weird from my perspective, at least, though, because you were communicating. It was through Discord, and I just feel like maybe he just never downloaded. Well, no, but that's how we played.
Yeah, that's how we talked.
Discord.
Yeah.
So I don't know, the expectation that you would be posting in Roll20 when we all have Discord and we literally use it to play. That was weird, but I do think that was a factor.
Yeah.
And I think it might be an age thing. But I notice age in just like player interactions. The way the PCs interact with the world and each other, I notice a difference.
I think it's also hard to gauge that because our youngest players are also our shyest players, and they're also first timers as well.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
I think it's so, like, to me that's bonkers. Like, I know I asked for it, but like, oh, you chose me? Oh, shucks.
What do I do? What do I do now?
I know, but it's hard to get a read on them sometimes. So I'm glad Pink kind of got out of his shell. Semi's just kind of doing
big
her,
time.
yeah, and Semi did her piece, and I think she's acting to her person. But sometimes, like, we don't know if it's still part of her acting or is like the audio cut out, because that happens every now and then.
Yes, there is definitely moments with multiple characters in our game, maybe all, where you're like, are you just being in character right now?
Yeah.
And you don't totally know. I do think there's a good amount of players who are pretty much just playing their personality, and that kind of makes it easier.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I mean, I notice little quirks and like how the youngsters play and the older folk play, I guess.
The elder folk.
if I qualify, come on now.
I mean, for the most part, we've all kind of insisted that we're the oldest. I think, I think we're all roughly the same age, the people on my podcast so far.
Yeah, I can't wait for us to listen back to this and be like, you youngins for trash talking.
Exactly.
And then the technology changes and we've got to learn a new way to do that. Oh my god, I'm being attacked by all the dogs. Go!
Oh, I thought like they're like typing or something, but it's their collars.
It's their collars.
I was gonna say, I didn't hear anything.
Gotcha.
I swear to God, it's fine.
Yeah, I think I really wanted Pink to kind of elaborate on this moment, but I think because I talked about it in the show in the aspect of like the crying. The crying.
Yeah, I know where you're going for sure.
Why did I do something wrong? And like, from your perspective, what did you feel about that?
No, I thought he was 100% like in the moment, like he was acting. But the crazy thing is that moment, which was like heavy, powerful, like it sucked all of us in if we weren't already. But that moment was basically his role-playing debut. Basically.
Yeah, for sure.
Wouldn't you say?
I would say so.
It was just going from like 0 to 60 very, very, very quickly. But I never thought like, oh, he's got something going on in his personal life or anything.
No, I just like, I'm always kind of concerned about that, because like sometimes people just play to escape. So like, something going on? Did I trigger something? And I'm glad we, like, I think in the last 5 or 4 sessions we kind of laid ground rules that I hadn't laid down before. Because a lot of people talk about session 0, and I've never played a game with session 0. Apparently it's really important, and I need to start doing that.
Yeah, that does get talked about a lot. But you know what you have done is you did like a mid-campaign check-in.
Of course, yeah.
And it was more story related. You know, like what are you hoping to experience? But you at least opened up the opportunity for people to, like, you know, if there was something that needed to be shared, that was an opportunity to do so.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, in the last few sessions, we've tried to make sure you're the one driving the ship, really. You've tried to make sure that, like, there's kind of a clear expectation of what we can do if things get uncomfortable and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
because it is Curse of Strahd.
It is Curse of Strahd, and things did get uncomfortable. It felt weird. Like, I didn't think about it until I started thinking, like, okay, so let's lay down the groundwork of what I'm talking about.
Yeah, have you talked about this?
Did I talk about the cat girl with you, Alex?
No, I'm so lost in part of this conversation. I'm very curious as to where your game just went, and my mind is just spinning and trying to figure out, like,
ask questions, we'll answer.
I know, but you're in the talking. I'm okay. I'm here. I know we'll eventually explain. So, what happened in your game? Like, what was so uncomfortable? Was it just that your characters were exploring feelings? Did something just, like, weird come up? Like, what happened?
Well, Adrian, you should tell some of the Catgirl story, but I feel like some background
Mm-hmm.
is just in the last, what'd you say was Pink's crying scene, like 5 or 6 sessions ago?
That was a long time ago, Pink's crying scene, because that was back. That was the first time we. Let's see.
Oh
Hold
yeah,
up.
because we were still in Barovia.
One. Okay, so
Or
one trip
back.
to the. We got Drake. That was one episode, and then we went to the Bone Grinder. That was 2 episodes, and then. Oh, that's right. That wasn't that far off. I
Not
think.
that
No,
far off.
because they had that moment while we were one of our first recordings.
Okay.
Oh
So
yeah.
that
A month and a half out, maybe.
Okay, so that moment, and as I think most people in our game would agree, was the opening up of role play in our game.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, you have the majority of the PCs now engaging in role play. And so now we're starting to explore each other's backstories, ask questions about where they come from, their feelings, and that kind of stuff. And then
I've also like updated like,
and then
hey,
we met
give me your.
Cowgirl.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we met Catgirl. I have like, hey, give me your backstories. I don't know how much I can put in, but it should be coming in soon. And from that's when like, because I got excited. I think everyone else also got excited and started to play
Mhm.
that well. And then, I mean, yes, I think Pink's moment was a catalyst as well.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Catgirl. So here's, I mean, Dave, you've already played like probably past this part, I think.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I can just freely say this. There's this girl named Stella Watcher in Vallaki whose mind is very broken because of in the background I think it's along the lines of like Victor, who she was like promised to, was being very either abusive or experimenting with magic with her.
Mm-hmm.
And
Or
she,
both.
yes, exactly. It's like just a lot of bad shit. The
Yeah.
players don't know this, and her mind is broken, and she's kind of reverted into this kind of almost a feral cat. And the thing was like anybody that shows any kind of kindness to her, she will latch onto. So
Because she
Oh,
was
no.
literally locked in a room,
yeah, just thrown
like
food.
in her house, like Harry Potter style.
Except she only had, she was also broken as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
she like she
And
was disheveled
he
and
couldn't
everything.
come out.
Yeah, exactly.
She couldn't come out to do the dishes like Harry Potter could.
Yeah.
Or burn the bacon.
Yeah.
And so the only interaction was her Pink hearing scratches and these meowing sounds.
Oh no.
Yep.
Pink goes into room, sees a bunch of cats just kind of like roaming around this lobby. He's like, okay, whatever, it's a cat. And then I'm like, okay, he's not latched on. So Stella Watcher's gonna say something. She's gonna say meow. And I role played it. And then I realized, like, okay, this is weird. A 27-year-old, 26-year-old just meowing, but you know, it's part of role playing. That's what I'm gonna have to do. And then she started getting like, they started asking questions whenever they finally unlocked the door, because she just kind of jumped on and like kind of latched to him. Like, how old is this girl? I'm like, fuck, how old is this girl? And I looked through the book, she's like super young, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
this is. I didn't think this all the way through, as I do with most of my
no.
campaigns.
It's like supposed to be like a 12-year-old girl or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I thought about it, I'm like, I don't feel good role playing this, especially like if she's been abused and that Victor's like older. I don't know how much older, but he's older, and I'm like, I need to retcon some stuff right now because one, I feel
Mhm.
uncomfortable, and then apparently I think some of our other players they were like kind of they like verbally kind of were in disgust every now and then, just like, I don't feel this is bothering me. And I'm like, and this is bothering me too. So I made a retconned out this whole backstory, just like, all right, she's 18 and he's 21, so it still has this power dynamic still going, but they're not kids, and I can role play that and not feel really bad.
Feel icky.
Icky, exactly.
But you know what? I think it is worse for you because as players, we don't know anything about her and Victor's interactions.
Mm-hmm.
So from, you know, if you're only looking at what the player knows, it looks like her family is just a bunch of jerks that have locked her up in this closet, which is messed up, obviously. and like that alone could make you feel uncomfortable. But I do think you got the brunt of that because you know, like, the why, how she got to that point.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, we had to set some ground rules, and then I think that next session, that like, all right, just either if something gets too uncomfortable, tell me either soft stop to just kind of like I'll veer it away, or hard stop and I'll just cut to black. We're doing something else.
Well, yeah, you had we had one of our more talkative players had been pretty quiet in this session, and you checked in, said, "Hey, everything's going okay? Yeah, I'm just glad to be here." Basically, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that is what prompted the, well, maybe we ought to have some sort of check-in with each other.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense because you are talking about very sensitive subjects, and you're in a group where you really don't know each other's actual story. Like, me, Alex, the PC, you don't know what I've gone through. Maybe this is an escape from a situation that's similar, or, you know, that does become a very, like, I had no idea. People talk about Curse of Strahd like it's no big deal. And I know that they just had the revamp. They just redid it, right? And they took out the they took out like using the negative connotation for travelers, right? Taking out that like gypsy idea of that they're just dirty and lazy and all of those things, right? Which is something we should be doing as a society, but you still kept this like 12-year-old Twilight you know,
well, yeah, they're
relationship.
Yeah. Well,
and nobody talked. That is not good, especially, you know, we're having those open conversations. And I think having that like trigger warning would absolutely be something you would want to advertise, right? I just spent a bunch of money to buy this module, and now like my players are having real feelings.
Yeah.
At first, like, see, I saw an article about the Vistani because, like, when I first read it, I had just like, if I hadn't taken this class, I wouldn't have thought 2 weeks about it. But I took this class about the Holocaust and how, you know, the Roma were kind of also kind of one of the people that were kind of brought up. So I saw like the campaign ads against, you know, Jewish and Roma and, you know, anyone that had a different political belief, scholars, just all these campaign to just kind of put them in these camps. And then so like I had an understanding like what's been through, and it's kind of like, oh, that's shit. Like World War II stuff is still kind of like following them. So like when it came to the game, I'm like, I saw it, I'm like, this feels weird. And then I saw an article and I thought like maybe she's going overboard. And part of me was just like, well, let's just keep thinking about it. Like eventually I started to agree with it, and then the thing that I didn't agree with still, I might get flack for it, but nobody watches our podcast. No, I'm just kidding. And then they all watched my podcast.
This is the one that goes viral.
Exactly. Was like the ashamedness of, because Dave told me that, I didn't know about this until Dave told me, one of the women have a prosthetic legs and she was ashamed by it. Part of me is like, well, that's interpretive. Everything in Strahd is interpretive. Yes, I think those feelings are true, that, you know, the only prosthetic leg is kind of shameful. I'm like, or it could be, you know, I survived kind of thing, you know. You get to interpret that either way. And yes, there's very few people with prosthetics. Like it's something that you have to find a mechanic for, or you either have to like drop their stats, or you have to figure things out. I think that people don't think about it because then they have to also think about the, you know, very mechanical reasons for this as well.
Yeah, but I think some of the verbiage when you read about that character is they, and I'm just trying to say they because we haven't met this character.
True.
For those of you listening that are in our game.
You punks.
But the description in the module, I'm pretty sure, says something along the lines of they like hide their prosthetic leg. And the whole thing was there's one person, granted, that we know about, or that's said explicitly, that has a disability in this module, and they are hiding it, kind of a thing.
True.
So yeah, okay, I get that. But there could also be that could also not be the only person with a disability in the module. There's nothing to say that you couldn't, you know.
True. I mean, I'm playing Daru very differently. He's just a blip, and that made me feel bad as one of the few people that actually like kind of confronted, I think, Strahd, or like was just caught up in it. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, immediately he's this, you know, this boy that's just crying, and I'm like,
oh, that's right.
Yeah.
He was supposed to play him very differently than I did. Like, I've played Daru, you know?
Yeah.
And Adrian has this bad guy, basically, approach the party, and we are legitimately like preparing attacks. And then this bad guy like basically drops to his knees and starts crying and is like asking for help. No. And we're just, I mean, I can only speak for my reaction, I guess, but I'm just like dumbfounded. Like, I'm like, are we not attacking this like supposed murderer anymore? Like, making me, and I really do feel like pretty much everybody was going through this, just like all kinds of questioning ourselves and our the actions we had prepared. And it was great. It was really cool. But yeah, I played him very differently.
You know, flavor, and you drop some humanity in a monster type. It kind of like people get like, okay, whoa, hold up, he's got feelings. I don't know about this. Like, I've done that with a goblin before. He was scared, and he's like, and hiding in a corner. He dropped his weapons, and they didn't immediately. It's like they're like, tell me where this thing is. Like, please don't hurt me. And like, oh fuck, he's got a voice now. And now they're just like, they adopted him.
To torture you.
They adopted him. He's like, can you do me a favor? There's this guy that's been bullying me. I want you to kill him. So they kill him, and the goblin just goes feral and starts stabbing the body, and we're like, ooh, do we still keep him around?
Get that bloodlust. Oh yeah, that's great. It's so good. I love that kind of stuff. And the fact that Dungeon Masters can like turn stuff on its head like that is so cool.
Yeah.
So let me pose this hot button topic, right? Or this hot button question. How much do you think like Wizards of the Coast or the people who build these modules, right? If it's not a big company, it's, you know, homebrews or whatever. How much responsibility do they have adding in those changes to their modules, even if they've already been, you know, produced for years, right? So let's say Curse of Strahd, like, do we need more changes, and does that fall on the DM side, or should that fall more on the like game maker side?
You know what your question reminds me of is I teach high school, and I had high school students complaining to me. I mean, and they're complaining to me about J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter. And there were recent comments that, you know, I understand they're being upset, but I had some students continuing on beyond, you know, different comments that J.K. Rowling made in regards to characters like Cho Chang, and they were annoyed that it was such like a stereotypical name to give the only, you know, wherever she was supposed to be from, the only Asian character in Harry Potter, Cho Chang. Like, come on. And when I was having that conversation, you know, and I'm like a Harry Potter like apologist, I'm like a Harry Potter fanboy. I had that conversation with somebody else and said, but you know what? At that time, when J.K. Rowling wrote those books, it was a positive thing. I was like, look at this. She has included different kinds and races of characters into her books. And we applauded Cho Chang. and you fast forward, gosh, however many years it was. Oh my, it's like 20 years or something.
It's been like 20 years. Yeah.
But you fast forward 20 years, and I've got high school students that are like, that's so dumb. And I think it reflects on, and this would be true for Wizards of the Coast, some of the stuff they were writing at that time was not looked upon the way it is now. And whether that the onus is on Wizards of the Coast or Dungeon Masters, that's an interesting question.
I think that, you know, we're a product of our time, and I think we'll slowly be putting those changes. I think that I heard apparently there was this kind of like round table of like individuals that are just like, let's talk about what may or may not be wrong about Dungeons and Dragons, of just
Mm-hmm.
like kind of creators, and they're like, Drow being inherently evil doesn't send the right message. And
Yeah.
everyone likes Drizzt because he's the only one like kind of breaking the mold. But I
Mm-hmm.
think that yeah, it probably wasn't good. The darkest skinned individual was like inherently evil, or orcs being inherently evil. But we kind of get that background from like the product of what was before. Like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
half orcs were like, oh, you get to choose now that because you're not fully of your potential evil race, because
Yeah.
orcs and goblins were just inherently evil, and that's what we thought. And then we're slowly becoming this, and we're like, well, maybe that's how it shouldn't be. I mean, why can't we be these goblins and orcs and be good? I mean, I think Drizzt
Right.
tales are so good because he has that morality call, and everybody that I've like kind of listened. I listened to the first book, and I'm just like, almost everyone is evil. Are they a product of
Mm-hmm.
because of their god, or is there something else wrong? Or
There's
what's
all kinds of stuff wrong in their society,
oh yeah,
right? It could be the god. It could just be like the way their society is organized.
yeah, their
And
tier
it's
system.
a hot mess. Yeah. Or like I think one of those things was probably in a similar conversation was like if you make an I don't know if it was an orc, but it was some sort of like typically a bad guy character.
Mm-hmm.
They have -1 intelligence when you're setting up your character. And it was like I remember there being like, oh, like we just all orcs -1 intelligence when you start rolling your stats. Like I think it was along the same lines of what you were referencing.
Yeah. So
Here's the thing, though. I think undoubtedly the dungeon master can filter through all that stuff because it's the dungeon master. I think the interesting conversation is if Wizards of the Coast or whoever has a responsibility to do those kinds of edits. But I think 100% the dungeon master has the responsibility to do it because they know their character, their players. So like I think it's without a question there's the responsibility on the dungeon master to like know what is appropriate.
yeah, I should have remembered like the age thing, but I read the whole book, and that was near the beginning. So just like when I came back to it because I knew they were there, I'm like, okay, I'll just roleplay this. She's crazy. It's gonna feel weird, but it'll be fine. And then when somebody brought that question to me, and I'm just like, and that's when it became my responsibility 100%. And I'm like, I'm gonna change this right now.
I'm just gonna change it. Yeah, like, and that was the appropriate course to take. Now, you saying I said those comments not thinking about you and our game and the cat girl, but even for you, we're talking about basically strangers from the internet.
Yeah.
You have no idea what the real players have experienced. So it's still very hard for the all-powerful dungeon master to filter out. A lot of times when I'm talking about, I'm thinking about a home game where I like am doing life with these people, and I have a pretty good idea. But yeah, strangers on the internet, that's tough to put that much responsibility on the dungeon master.
And I'm gonna be honest that I haven't like ruminated in this question. It was just this conversation, like it does raise the question of whose responsibility does it mostly fall on. Do we actually hold Wizards to the Coast of maybe revising some of these modules, or is it making sure that we as dungeon masters, we as creators of the games that we're playing with our friends or strangers on the internet or our family, whatever it is. I mean, I think that I will be playing from now on with more of an idea of making sure that there are different types of people or different creatures or different types of personalities, and making sure that, we are talking about, I lost my train of thought. I went into two places when I was thinking. So one, I think it's important to also recognize the problematic things, right? So like somebody who's being tortured, to have that child abuse there, but to also have that trigger warning potentially with your people. So if you want it to stay true to the game, you conversations about, okay, this is the thing that we're about to do. Is everyone comfortable? Yes. Okay. We all understand that this is not a good and this is us trying to fix maybe a problem, and then maybe seeing the positive side of fixing the story problem of what's going on, and maybe making your world a little bit better in a world that you really can't control, right? So like the smaller world within our whole world. I like that idea, and then you could be a hero and you can fix it, and isn't that what Dungeons and Dragons is about? But yeah, and then like that's our responsibility, is to make sure that we are addressing the issues and the problematic themes and the things that we read and the media as a whole that we consume. And yeah, as a former Potter kid, or not a former, like an ongoing Harry Potter is my life. Like
Yeah, don't deny Dave. You need.
I would never.
She is 100%. She got mad at me earlier that I'm like I didn't remember her house.
No.
Fine. I have it tattooed on me. That's why I have a Ravenclaw diadem on my like chest.
Yeah, hardcore.
Yeah, we go hardcore. But yeah, that's really hard to have that like role model in your life with JK, and then now I don't know what's happening. I don't know if that's always been in her, and if that does taint, we are learning that you didn't have people with any sort of different abilities in their body, or maybe in their the way that they're thinking. We don't see a lot of different races in the Harry Potter world, right? Everyone is mostly white, and the black characters or any people of color have very minor roles. And even when we extend those into the movies, those were all problematic for a lot of different reasons. But if we're going to talk about, people of color, where was that representation? And even in abilities, where was that representation, right? How do you get around Hogwarts if you have some sort of motor disability, right? Is there an elevator? Can you have a wheelchair? And
yeah, you got shifting staircases, for crying out loud.
I'm cutting.
Dave, I'm really curious as to what your students are saying. Are they just completely rejecting Harry Potter? Because that hurts my heart. But I understand, I guess. What are their feelings, or like, what is the conversation that you have with the younger generation?
Well, it was, hey everybody, there's a new video game coming out, Hogwarts Legacy. It's like an open world RPG sandbox set in the Harry Potter universe, right? It's like the game I've been waiting my whole life for. And they're all like, yeah, but J.K. Rowling. I don't think they are going to play this game because of the comments J.K. Rowling said. And I'm having some of these conversations with students that are a they kind of pronouns. And I've got all kinds of students in these classes, and I was like, I get what you're saying. I get what you're feeling. It pains me to think that it would keep you and your peers away from the magic of Harry Potter. But I do like the particular job I have. I'm able to travel with my students, and I have seniors now, so I've known a lot of these kids, but some of them aren't kids anymore. For 4 years. And so I'm able probably to go a little bit beyond where a lot of teachers would stop the conversation, because we have such, we know each other.
Yeah, so you have a built-in rapport.
A built-in rapport for sure, but you still tread carefully, and you have, no idea what, every little thing about these students' lives. But it is kind of heartbreaking for me. Like, Alex, we're of similar age. It sounds like I was literally Harry Potter's age each year those books came out. I grew up with Harry Potter, and to hear that this author's comments were going to keep people away from it was heartbreaking. I ended up reading them what Daniel Radcliffe said, though. Have you seen what Daniel Radcliffe said? It was really powerful.
I absolutely love that. I really do. And I'm really happy that there has been a response from the actors, right? Just, Emma doing really great outreach and empowerment
Always.
Daniel
She's
Rad,
always. She has been. Yeah.
Yep.
Adrian,
so,
have you seen Daniel Radcliffe's response to all that?
Maybe. I don't remember.
He basically, I'm probably going to butcher this, but he basically says, whatever special you found in the books can't be taken away from you. And like it's individual. It's like special to you. And that can't be taken away.
Gotcha.
Is that fair, Alex? Did I do a halfway decent job paraphrasing his comments?
I would say yes, that it's really easy to paint that all in a bad light, that it's everybody involved. And, I think he also talks about becoming a better ally to populations, which is always important. And especially if you're trying, I think that's the biggest part of it, right? We now have JK, who doesn't seem like she's trying to, promote those who love her so much. And for me, like, I heard that game and I was like, oh, and then like my heart just fell right into my stomach. And I was like, I really don't want to, and I don't know how much I could do that, but I'm going to at least make my dollar vote count. I wouldn't want to spend my time. I wouldn't want to give my time, money, or energy to bettering J.K. Rowling in her status. Like, and then that makes me sad, because then you think about all of the other people that were involved and all of the other people who, have a stake in that brand, right? It's a brand at this point.
Yeah.
So all of the developers, all of the IT people, all of the creators, the artists, that is not just one person that she's not just, it's not just one person that's affected by what she's saying.
Right. Yeah.
And so that makes me really sad. And like,
yep.
Responses are important, and I think if something happens and you respond with a way of like, hey, I'm learning and I'm doing my best and here's how I'm going to try to do better in the future, I think that is, for me, satisfies my like need for people to apologize, right? So
right.
Wizards of the Coast maybe didn't do a great job of it, but really at that point it's in the DM's hands. And there are so many other resources for Dungeons and Dragons that it makes it an easier. I don't have to use like the branded D&D stuff. I can use homebrews that other people have put time, and I can pay other people. I don't have to pay. But once again, we're talking about more jobs and more people, and it's a hard place.
True. And I mean, in the RPG space, or the TRPG space with the tabletop type stuff, I think Wizards of the Coast generally is like at the forefront on this kind of stuff. And I think that might be reflected in, they're like, you know what, we're going to come out with a different version of Curse of Strahd. But yeah, that's a lot.
I might buy that. I don't know yet. It'd be nice to have
It does look beautiful. It does have the artwork for it does look really nice.
I've spent my most time.
It comes in a coffin.
What?
I'm pretty sure it comes in a coffin.
Oh my goodness.
Unless, that's the deluxe super fancy edition.
Look, I just got a new job. I'm going to be spending a lot of money. Oh boy.
It does. You should take a look, Adrian. It does come in the coffin, and then it has a really nice like DM screen.
Yes, just for me and no one else.
Yeah, right. Sitting there behind your Dungeon Master screen. Adrian, could you speak up? The screen's blocking your microphone.
I paid money for this. Oh boy.
That's how I record this podcast. I'm just behind a DM screen, so I'm
Perfect.
just like setting the tone to make sure I'm focused.
That's good. Yeah. It helps you get in the zone behind the Dungeon Master screen.
I'm not pacing around my house at all. I'm not doing that.
I was literally just, our last game, I had to do it off the phone, and I'm like, this feels so much comfortable. I'm just leaning back in the couch and just phone just in hand, and like Semi's got the control of like where I get to see, and I'm just like, this feels nice. But I gotta type next time. It was so enjoyable, and I think
it totally worked too.
Yeah, we didn't have any combat. It was great.
Yeah.
My first me rolling anything. I had everyone else roll everything else. I don't think there was nobody. Oh, there was Ismark and Rick. Yeah, there was a bunch of other people. I think if they had to roll for anything, I'm just like, they fail or they succeed. I'm like, it'll be a 50-50. Because this is tough. Or I'll make one of y'all roll.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're the dungeon master. Like he notices. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so he notices.
I can just say I have a die back here.
Right. Although, I mean, I've heard you roll physical die before.
Oh yeah,
through your microphone.
Of course, I just didn't have anything in this new place. But
Clock tower.
I am now. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Our last guest had the full brunt of it, where I was in his room with the most clocks, and they just wouldn't stop chiming.
Lovely. We haven't talked about the one thing I had plans to talk about.
And we can talk about it.
We can talk about it.
It's like a hat tip to Adrian, so you might want to cover your ears, Alex.
Oh, I was going to mute myself.
Positive reinforcement for him.
Well, I'm just trying to keep my character alive.
That's fair. No. You slip in this proverbial $20 bill to Adrian to keep you alive.
Right. The level of role playing and like character buy-in that we are getting in this game is incredible. Might be too strong, but it's like really impressive. And I think the only thing you can point to is all of these, remember, we're strangers from the internet, coming together is that Adrian has created an environment. And I don't know if he even is doing this like intentionally, right? It just kind of like happens naturally by the way, it all came together. But this environment where people are feeling comfortable to take risks and have these like, I don't know, should we call them tender moments or different, varying degrees of emotions. I personally have spent a lot of time thinking about how cool I think it is that we have this game and these people from across the country literally feeling comfortable enough to take these risks and have like these character interactions and stuff that are pretty like deep and thoughtful. And I think that's possible because of the environment Adrian has curated. Ooh, yeah, curated.
Ooh.
That's a good word.
Put that on your SAT.
Yeah, there you go.
That is so sweet of you.
And though I might be trying to keep my character alive, like, I mean, what else could you point to? Like, I think it's pretty accurate.
I mean, I want all your characters to live, but also I don't want it to, like, because Pink told me, like, I can tell you're easing up on the reins. You need to just throw the book at us. And I'm like, okay. But because, like, I want to create those stories with y'all, and I want to hear what y'all have to say. I want that to be part of who you are. The reason you keep coming back is because, like, what am I going to do next, and how can I change the fate of whatever story I make? And right now, like, I don't know who I've told. I think it's most of you. But I have this whole, like, page that's I have DM notes, and then I have memes that I haven't been able to show you because spoilers. And then I have lore, where every person you meet, and they're going to have a backstory somewhere because I felt like they needed it. And at the end of this session, I'm going to unlock the channel and you can see what I've been doing in the background. And I want that story to keep being created. And it's more powerful if y'all have that same character and that same feeling throughout the whole game. But I do need to have that deathly kind of presence still in there. So it's I got to be better at killing my characters. I warned y'all because I was afraid that it might happen, even just a little bit.
Yeah.
And I wanted y'all
You've specifically warned us about several encounters that might be deadly, and we've pretty much steamrolled it.
Yes, it really did happen that way.
Suggestions, you gotta throw the book. Throw it.
I know. I need. It's gonna be easier once I can get Strahd directly involved, which is slow coming around.
Well, also, I know for you the goal wasn't to kill characters, but if the goal is to kill characters, your best bet is doing it before they all reach level 5. Right? Like by the time characters hit level 5, they're a little bit in a better spot, especially if you have clerics around.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But the threat of death in Dungeons and Dragons has to be real.
True.
For sure.
I'm getting better at that. I killed 2 players at level 1 last week, so that was fun.
Yep, there you go.
It wasn't. I felt horrible. I felt horrible the whole time. Like, this is their first character too, and look what I've done. Look what I've done to this boy.
I've had characters die in my games, my home games. One I think was the dungeon master fault, was my fault, and the other, I feel like there's more than one or more than two. The other is the party split, so that was one. And then when they were doing a death save, they rolled a 1, and that was it. Or, because they already had one failed death save. But the first one was I gave a powerful magical item to a new Dungeons and Dragons player, being a necklace of like fireballs or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
And they threw a fireball into a room that included them in its blast radius at a low level, and they just got incinerated. That was it. There was no death saves because the damage was enough to do the deed. And they they were a new Dungeons and Dragons player, and a veteran doesn't do that. They're aware that there's a 20-foot blast or whatever,
Yeah.
20 radius. But yeah, I mean, it happens. It's part of the game. And if it's not, like, especially in a game like Curse of Strahd, it kind of takes away.
Don't worry. I think this dinner is going to be interesting.
No, I don't feel I don't feel like Arlen has been invincible, or I still feel like there's been the threat of death in our game.
There's one person that literally says, "I'm invincible," and I don't want to he knows who he is, but I don't know how to show him without just plainly killing him. Well, then he doesn't learn his lesson, right? I don't know. How do I do this properly?
Wait. Do you mean immortal? We have a player.
Immortal. There we go. They said that.
Yes. I, if anybody, have talked more about, when we were all getting attacked by werewolves at the caravan and things weren't looking good. I literally said in our Discord chat, well, Arlen will live to remember you all. With his, what would he have? A 21 AC when he's blade singing and shield. I was like, Arlen's going to live.
Yeah, and also in that fight, I made it so that y'all were in an actual caravan and the lengths mattered, and you're 120 feet away. I think I
was more than that. I was 240 feet away from combat.
So you didn't see? Did you shoot a spell at all?
Yeah, I have magic missile, which is 120 foot range. So by 3 turns, I was contributing something.
I think I've taken Arlen off out of the way, the last 2 fights.
Yeah, when I remember bragging that I was gonna outlive everybody when we were getting attacked, I just remember thinking, I hope Adrian doesn't see this.
Okay. Anything else for y'all?
No. Thanks for having me. This is fun.
It was a hoot.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah. Tell the party this is the only episode y'all can watch. I don't think I said anything spoilery.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, because we're kind of vague about something.
Yeah.
Oh, and the relationship with Catgirl. A little spoiler.
I think that's fine. I think her story arc is for now done.
Yeah.
And I think there's going to be actions y'all are taking potentially next session that will make it so that almost nothing I said matters. The way I've built the story so far, things are going to change. I can guarantee it. It's going to be beautiful.
Oh, man. Alex, Adrian was so jazzed up for our last session, and we didn't even get to the part that he wanted to get to.
It was fine.
Think that happens a lot.
It was a shopping episode.
Talk about it.
You know how you just skip through those crit roll stuff? I saw the first shopping episode. I'm like, why am I here? And I went to the next episode.
Yeah, you can see it on Travis Willingham's face. He's thinking the same thing.
Which one's that, or who's he play?
Well, it depends which campaign you're watching.
First one.
He's Grog.
And in 2 he's Fjord.
He does not like the shopping episodes. He just sits there with a face. That's pretty funny.
Heard. Once I get back into the rhythm, I might try it again. I'm only on episode like 11 or 17. One of the there was 2 straight numbers. That's all I remember.
That's so good. Alex, have you ventured into the realm of Critical Role?
I have not, and eventually I will say yes on this podcast, but I still have not. I have this weird thing that I want to finish the ones that I've started. So, like, I started Welcome to the Magic Tavern, and I don't know how much I'm going to be able to, like, actually take back to back because it's a lot.
Yeah. Critical Role alone is just hours and hours and hours of it by this point.
Yeah, no, literal
Yeah.
days.
So I can tell you, I'm on episode 82 from Hello from Magic Tavern. I was just listening to it before we started recording, which really only puts me at what, like 2018, 2016.
Wow.
So
Jeez.
Hey, that'll be us one day. We'll have so many episodes.
that'll be so great.
Not hours worth.
Someone's gonna be like this and be like, yes, the progression is. They get so better. They get so much better. Right?
Yeah, they're a little cringy at first.
Yeah. I'm just going to say now, thank you for having me on for episode 100. That really means a lot.
All right. That sounds great.
If we make it to 100,
we'll have you on.
First. Absolutely.
And here's Dave. Hello. All right. Thank you, Dave. On to the next guest.
Hopefully we'll be done with Curse of Strahd by then.
Oh.
And then Dave can lead
I don't even
us
know if
in
we're
a group.
halfway.
There's things that I'm changing to make things beefier, and because there's so much content, and I'm afraid that even because I felt bad. I don't know. I felt bad trudging everybody across, and also I said milestones, and there's certain milestones that I want to level up at, so I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah.
I'm not getting rid of areas. I'm combining areas because of reactions I made. And you'll hear about that next time on this podcast when we get to that episode. Actually, I think it's
nice.
two episodes, and then you'll know what happens. Or you'll hear about it in real game time.
Okay.
It's so exciting! Oh, I gotta write all the backstory for it. Oh. Sorry.
This part is, as excited as Adrian is, he might be able to share like 50% of what he's planning. Because that's just the Dungeon Master life.
That truly is. It really freaking is. That's why I have this backlog of what I'm doing. I could just say that in my mind, but I'm literally like making short stories just to make it fun to read. But yeah.
That's awesome. Oh, it sounds like baby's up.
All right.
Well, what a good conclusion for us to actually end.
All right. Do you have anything to plug? I don't know if you want to plug anything.
No, I don't have anything like. I used to like stream and all that kind of stuff, but I haven't done it for a couple of years.
Well, maybe you'll get back into it. So if you want to, you can. Otherwise, I can just edit it out and edit it back in if you want when you get big.
Okay, all right. When I go big, MrMcFlavo on. Oh wait, I don't think I'll do Twitch. I think I'll do YouTube if I start again. MrMcFlavo on YouTube, everybody.
That's a choice of a screen name.
There's history there.
I have one of those that you can literally find me on anything because I've had the same name since I played World of Warcraft.
Oh my gosh, that was hilarious. When I was like picturing conversation in this podcast, I was going to be like, I was always nerdy, but I wasn't like World of Warcraft nerdy. But now I'm Dungeons and Dragons nerdy. Like, that's got to be at least equivalent.
Heard.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I had a lot of clocked hours before I quit playing.
I had to quit.
And I had to quit cold turkey. Like, it was bad.
Yeah, I don't know how I've stayed away from it, but I know it would be.
Don't do it, Dave. Don't do it.
Dunzo. Especially married to Dave. No. No time for WoW.
No. All right. So thank y'all for listening. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram and Twitch. Do we Twitch?
Yes, we'll be starting. We'll live stream before we edit, So you get the raw version of this.
Ooh.
Oh God. Good. You can do that all at Dungeons and Degrees Pod. You can also send us an email if you have any questions or anything you want us to talk about or just ramble on about. dndegreespod@gmail.com. I don't know if I said that wrong. I think it's dndegreespod on all of social media. So if you need us, you can find us there. You are more than welcome to slide into our DMs. Please don't send any nudes. We're good. I'm good. Adrian's probably good, although we could find him a significant other. So if you are
don't start
single-
out with nudes, please. Lengthy backstory, that would really just hit my kink.
Lengthy backstory and then consent to nudes. Oh man, that got off. Anyways, you can find us wherever podcasts are found. Please subscribe. Send us to your friends. If you want to be on this podcast, you can always reach out if you have a conversation you want to have. If you're going to rate us, only rate us 5 stars, because anything less, you're going to murder baby dragons in their sleep. Every time you rate less than 5 stars.
That's good. That's good. I like that.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for listening. My name's Adrian.
And I'm Alex.
Go have some fun.